Hello and welcome back to another Sims 3 build video. My name is Billy. Welcome to my channel if you're new here. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. Anyway, let's get into the build. Sorry if last video you could hear some bell sounds or some cat fighting in the background. My cats were having a great time. They are best friends, but I didn't realize how loud it was. Hopefully there won't be too much of that this time, although one of them is here helping me out. Very needy for attention right now. But this week we are working on a kind of Suburban Oasis, I'll call it, the name of the video. This is based on a single flat that I've seen that I thought was quite cute, the way it's got a really private enclosed garden, and so I decided to build it. In the real life build is actually kind of connected to 3 other flats, so I did have to do kind of a bit of working around to try and figure out how best to make it into a single house without kind of ruining the general vibe of it. But I think I did pretty well in the end, although if anyone's interested in actually seeing it as, you know, an apartment or a flat with the other 3 there so that, you know, you could choose the other ones or something like that, let me know and I'll do it. It's actually a really interesting house, especially one of the flats on the front and where the garages sit. So I might do that in the future. But anyway, it's on a 20 by 30 lot. It is a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, and it is very equipped for the pets expansion pack. If you want to have a cat in this household, it is perfect. And it is fairly spacious despite only being a couple of bedrooms, and it's obviously got a really private yard area. I didn't do too much with the exterior of the lot this time in terms of landscaping. I kept it fairly simple because most of the intrigue is in the little kind of oasis, little private deck area. So here I did spend way too long on my roof. I did cut out some footage of me playing around with the roof, and here I'm just trying to figure out the best way to do the kind of wardrobes. I didn't want to kind of have the gap there, and these are really just decorative. Each of the rooms has their own dresser in them as well. And for this bedroom that I'm decorating here, I think I mentioned in a previous build video, I love the generations side tables and dressers, and I like doing the dark wood on top and the white wood on it. It's a style I'm a big fan of and actually have in my house in real life, so I kind of took inspiration for that here, and I'm just kind of chucking the furniture down first in this build. I think I'd normally do the flooring first, but at this point I was just kind of wanting to see how I'd lay it out because it is a bit of a different layout, and there are a few things that I really wanted to get into the build before I kind of started styling things aesthetically. Kitchen's another thing that took me a fair wee bit of playing around, and I believe I also cut out some footage here. I end up completely changing how I've built out this kind of like pantry and cupboard situation. I changed out the counters. It was very much so a work in progress. I was not entirely certain what I want to do with it, but again, I think it all worked out really well in the end. I wanted to make sure that your Sims had plenty of space to prepare food, because when I'm actually playing the game, it can be a struggle when the kitchen's too small or doesn't have enough surface area. And I have also given you a dishwasher this time. So just chucking some things in the spare room. It's fairly plain. Obviously that bed, because it's put against the wall, only one Sim can sleep in it at a time. But you can of course move it out, there's plenty of space there for it. So here I'm just rearranging the lounge a little bit and just chucking in a few bits and pieces. And in this build there is a laundry. I think most of my builds do tend to end up with a laundry, it depends. But this one has a separate toilet and a laundry in the bathroom. I did want to actually put a shower in this bathroom, but I ended up deciding to just keep it with a bath because I wanted the window there. And as usual, a weirdly placed mirror. It is based on a real build, so the quirks are here as usual. I also spent way too much time trying to pick the right rug for this. I feel like I should have probably decided on the floor I was going to go with before picking the rug, but you know what? We live and we learn. And yeah, it is a very very strange order in which I've gone about this build. I'm kind of being thrown off by it because I don't recall that I did things in this order. But it's not the typical order I'd do things in. I would normally, I think, place down my windows first. I would at least do my floors and my walls, and then I'd do my furniture. But I was just feeling the urge to do something different that day, I guess. And here I am redoing the roof again. I wasn't entirely sure what to do with the front because I did want to have at least a partially covered deck area, but I couldn't find a way with the roof style I wanted to do to make it look that good, so I'm not the most happy with how it works. I think it works in the end, especially once I start changing the roof color, but if it's not your cup of tea, I understand. Please feel free to change that roof however you want, however it works for you. Here I'm now recoloring the bed. I did end up going with a custom pattern for this one. I have it linked in the description down below as usual. I believe it's the 4th pattern from the Frozen Florals collection from Wandering Sims. So you can choose just to download that pattern, or you can download the merged file, which is what I have. But yeah, I'm finally starting to get into putting things on the wall. What I really wanted to do in that kitchen area was I wanted to find a way that it had tiles part of the way up, and you can see I'm playing around with that there, and then normal wall at the top. But I tried to use the Pets wall, the tiled wall, but it really just wasn't working because the rest of the wall had trimmings on it on the top and the bottom, and it just didn't quite fit in very well. I did want to do nice tiles there for something interesting, but I didn't end up doing it. And with it being an oasis, there is a nice green theme and blue theme, at least in most of the rooms in this house. Might not translate a ton into the furniture. Those furniture pieces are all going to be fairly neutral, but you know, change it up a bit. I've given you a very blue house, or a couple of them at this point. I've given you a very yellow house, and this time you're getting a bit of a green one. And here I'm just moving the same textures that I used on that bed frame into the lounge, kind of keeping it matching. It's all a very velvet texture, so I thought it would be kind of cute to bring it throughout the house. In real life, I am a huge fan of velvet. I love having like the soft texture. Yeah, it's just, I'm such a big fan. I know it can kind of hold heat and get a bit sweaty as a fabric, especially if it's, you know, synthetic based and things like that, but I just love the plush feeling of, you know, furs and velvets and satins, those kinds of textures. It's just so nice. Here I'm just starting to work on the outside. It's very it's actually very blue. I've realized this is just starting to become such a theme in my builds. I also cut out some time messing around with this garden. I wasn't quite sure. I kind of didn't like how the ridge at the edge there kind of joined up to the deck. I wanted to see if I could keep it consistent the whole way around, but it wasn't really working out. But it's fine. And I also put down some carpet flooring that I tried to make look like dirt in the raised up patches, because of course I couldn't really put the terrain up there. I mean, I'm sure there's a way, it just would have been a huge pain. The other thing to note is this is the only item from Into the Future, that towel rack. I love it, but I try so hard to not use it because I don't know what the point is of having one item from an expansion pack and then telling you to download it. If you don't want to use Into the Future in your game, which I understand because I'm someone who didn't have it in my game for the longest time even though I owned it, as I played with it in the past and then just didn't think it worked with my gameplay style. But if you don't want to install it, just leave it out. It's only that one item that'll be replaced. Similar story for the one piece of store content that I have in here. There's one piece of wall art which you'll see me place down fairly shortly, I imagine, which is from Hort Hip collection. It's just a floral painting. I think it looks great, but honestly there's other things you could replace it with. For example, I think in the store there was the free painting, Calliope something, the little angel painting. You could probably replace it with that if you didn't want anything from that collection in here. So now I'm just placing down a little bit of clutter. I have been avoiding using those plants. They're the breeze plants from Nanaeve Design. They come with kind of separate planters and little plants that you can place in them. I think they're gorgeous, but they are kind of tedious to place down. I mean, they're great, I love them, but also it requires you to download 2 items to get that plant in the game versus just one. So I do try to avoid using them. And a lot of these items I end up placing down the kitchen, I end up removing. I think I was gonna go with more custom content than I thought I would. And I just didn't end up going with it. Although I will say in the garden outside there are a lot of custom content plants. It is luckily only the same 3 plants. And then that one plant I'm placing down there is actually from the Outdoor Living stuff pack. If you don't have that stuff pack, it's no big deal. I'm sure there's another plant you can place in there, whether it's custom content or something else. But I just wanted to make sure that the garden had a really nice lush feel, and because there wasn't really any like build plants that I could really place in there that would look good or would be able to be placed on that level, I just decided to go with decor plants, which probably pushed up the price of the house a lot, but it's cute, so it is what it is. My apologies. So just placing down a few more bits and pieces, removing some of the the custom content. I did use a couple of custom content rugs. I do love them. So yeah, sorry, the custom content list for this build is going to be a lot longer. And these sets of paintings are all actually from the same creator, pretty much the same set, so I'll link that down below. If you've seen some of my other builds, you'll know I love the floral passage painting from them. They're just really fun. Now I'm just placing down some lighting. We're pretty much nearly at the end. It's just a few bits and pieces left, recoloring the fences and the roof and doing some of the paths and driveways. It is interesting out the back. There's not really like a ton to the landscaping here, but I do think in its simplicity it's really cool. I like the little garden I've put out back. You could, if you put a green thumb sim in here, you could take out the decor plants and, you know, add in some planting space for them. It would work really well for that. But I just kind of wanted it to be a bit of almost controlled chaos. Give it some plant life. Now here, some little rose bushes, very simple. And then I thought the dirt's looking a bit too bare, so let's put some clover in. But yeah, just the final touches. And here you can see I'm not super happy with the covered deck, and I'm playing around with it. And yeah, just finishing off the outdoor really. And I did place down a cover over the outdoor table and seating. I did want to have that. In real life, the build has a little, has a full cover over the deck, but there wasn't really a good way to replicate that in game, so that was how I tried to do it. Didn't really work out, so I ended up removing it in the end. But this is pretty much it, so enjoy the screenshots and thanks for watching.